Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the TEC High School Series. And, well, I'm with someone you probably don't know. And this is Geo of Arc. Follow him on Twitter. Thankfully, he stepped up. We were not able to find Lord Thethan at the moment, so hopefully he's okay. But Geo was kind enough to step in at last minute.
Yes, the Pentagon called me and there was a last-minute required caster, but thankfully I was available to come in and fly in internationally from Scotland to help out here in the TEC semi-finals, because this is an important matchup between some of the young whippersnappers of TEC who have been really setting down some amazing rail lines for themselves towards possibly the grand finals.
Yeah. Both these two teams competing for a spot to compete at St. Francis University on LAN on the 20th. But here, we'll take a look at this bracket here. West Branch versus Windber is going to be the matchup we're taking a look at today. Greater Johnstown versus Hollidaysburg. Currently, don't really know when that's going to be scheduled or played, so, well, we'll figure that out when we figure it out. But let's take a look at these stats here. Let's take a look at why this West Branch squad is so good. And, well, it's those top two names on the board. Ball Diff and DPS Diff are the difference makers for this West Branch squad. And not only that, Firelord, the top-ranked support in the TEC.
Yeah, when you have names like this, like Firelord, Ball Diff, DPS Diff, the game slays, like, there is a lot of pride that goes into making an account with those names, but I mean, the stats have been holding them up. That's 10,000 damage done. That is a lot of damage to be outputting, so they're really living up to the name. I mean, you kind of set yourself up for irony or karma when you call yourself DPS Diff, but not so far. However, we can look at the other side of the lineups, where you have Windber coming in with a very solid DPS lineup here. I hate Arissa, which I'm sure plenty of people from Overwatch 1 feel the same, and Mr. Gary, who I hear is an incredible Hanzo. Solid support line of Ethereal, GG Man, and the Jazz coming there on the tank lineup.
Yeah, I want to put this in perspective for you, Gio, because you didn't watch this last week. You didn't watch what Mr. Gary was doing. He was turning fights all on his own with just a click of the heads with Hanzo. And I think that, again, that is the key to the series. Can Mr. Gary continue to do that, or are West Branch able to shut them down?
Yeah, I mean, the fact is, we're seeing a lot of Hanzo come into play, and a lot of maps, they're being chosen as the main DPS slot. I mean, it's a fast projectile, you have that one-shot capability, and not to mention, while Sombra's getting a lot of play, you have that recon arrow, and you're able to scout out where that Sombra might be coming from and cancel their lanes of flanks, and that just makes Hanzo a very sturdy pick on a lot of different map types. So that could be something that is really in their favor going up against the #1 seed.
It really is. And, well, we didn't talk about the map pool. We've got our map pool for you all set out. Another one of the map pools, so we don't have the map pool graphic for you, but today's map pool is Lijiang Tower, which we're going to be starting off on. Escort is going to be Route 66, Push New Queen Street, and then if we were required to head to more, Oasis is going to be the second control, and our second escort will be Havana.
And we will be beginning here on Lijiang. Specifically, the Gardens as West Branch are going to be TPing themselves onto the point to bunker down, but they will be getting spammed into oblivion by Arissa, who's going to get poked there by Ethereal, taken to the sky on the Farah, and of course Mr. Gary on that solid pick, who's actually getting the pocket themselves.
Yeah, I mean, when you're as good as Mr. Gary is on the Hanzo, you kind of get the pocket whenever you need it. So they're going to come into this fight already and take the game slays out of this fight and start to move towards the point is Windber. They are going to have to deal with DPS Diff, who has been set up, but well, there it is yet again. Mr. Gary turning the fight all on their own. I hate Orisa getting in on the feed as well, but it's all Mr. Gary right now.
Yeah, that's not half the truth, right? And even getting an exit pick there. Game Slays did a very risky push there, and I mean, Mr. Gary just had the confidence to take a close range duel against a Reaper. That's a terrifying amount of confidence for a Hanzo player. And right now, that's what you see. They're so ahead in the game. They already have their dragon, and as they're still going to be TPing West Branch, this dragon could cut them off.
The Dragon Strike gonna come through already. A lot of damage coming in onto West Branch, and they are forcing a lot of damage onto them now as well, with the Javelin spin taking DPS Diff out, as they are gonna just win this fight outright.
Yeah, if Gary's the second name, Moses might be the first, because they split the C's perfectly there, and the TP just, it said, and the Baptiste and the Symmetra themselves just didn't do too many wonders. And, you know, not to mention that they're taking so much spam from the Pharah, and again, they're just split.
Yeah, such a great split coming in. GG Man gonna take down Baldef, who did invest the Shatter. The Photon Bear trying to change the tide of this fight, and it might be working out for them. They've taken Andos down, and now they're gonna be able to get Ethereal out as well. The microwave of the Photon Beam is working in the favor of West Branch, but they still have to deal with these DPS of Windber, and Mr. Gary is just gonna go wild yet again. I was telling you, he was changing fights all on his own, and he's doing it yet again for Windber. Mr. Gary will not be denied.
Oh my lord, you weren't half wrong, and Breadcat's a little stuck there. It's definitely a caught out, surely. Yeah, you're not going to survive that, man. Maybe. Does. It's 66% now, 30% remaining for Windber to open this up. Oh no, that's nasty, but I mean, they have so many ults here is what I was going to say, so it's going to be tough for West Branch to push in. They need to up their pace of play here and squeeze these ultimates out of Windber.
Yeah, they really do. They got the res to get Mr. Gary back into the fight, and the Dragon Strike is going to be used already. Baldef so low and going to be taken out thanks to the Javelin spin. They do find out one with the Barrage. It is going to be traded back immediately, though, but they need to hurry on to this point. They need some picks, and they need some nows. The Terra Surge going to come through, but not going to find anything. The follow-up is there from the rest of Windber, as this should be round one going to them in the end, unless some miracle play comes in from Baldef and DPS Diff. The rally coming out, DPS Diff back to spawn. People gonna be joining them quite soon. The Soundmeter gonna get some overhealth though. Try to buy more time, more chances for picks, but it just doesn't seem possible right now.
Yeah, that'd be to say them for that a little bit, but ultimately the lethality isn't there when you're in that panic mode. And that's a great start for Windber, a very unique style of play that they're bringing out. You don't see Orisa a lot these days, you really don't. But the way that Andajaz has been playing it has been very much, playing into rotating those cooldowns and really forcing out Baldef, especially on the Rhine, where they're just getting pushed about left, right, and center, and getting all silly with it. Windber, not going to change much here. They are going to go on to the Junkrat instead. West Branch still looking to go for a TP here, but I imagine this is just going to go out of spawn because they're switching to a very more divey kind of composition here. Well, not really dive, more like a peely composition, which is going to struggle to upkeep fights against Windber if it gets to a brawly stage.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. They are going to try to take a hold of this point yet again, but they've already lost the game. Slays, who was just a little overly aggressive. They weren't with their team looking for some extra damage to try to charge that ultimate percentage all the way up. Mr. Gary, though, going to fall quickly afterwards. So now things are looking on the up and up for West Branch. They've taken out the biggest threat, and now they can deal with the remainers from Windber, and that's going to help with the composition that they're running. They are still fighting it out, though, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be able to win as I Hate Orisa goes down.
Yeah, good scouting there for West Branch. They noticed that the core of the team had went coast side, where Mr. Gary was pretty much all by their lonesome out there in the garden, so they just all clamped down on Mr. Gary. They continue to notice Gary going on flanks like that. They can take advantage of that confidence I was talking about and turn it into a win condition for themselves. But Mr. Gary already going to have this dragon, be able to split them up for an upcoming engage here.
Yeah, definitely. That's incredible. They already have the Dragon Strike available. The res is going to be there onto the bread cap, but they might just be caught out with the Dragon Strike, and they are. They're going to come through. The Photon Bay are going to split the point in half, and they are going to take down 2 thanks to DPS diff. This should be enough to hold on, especially finding Mr. Gary out, as they're going to be able to continue this hold.
Yeah, brilliant stuff there. A lot of that was also down to Baldef really just distracting Mr. Gary, getting in Gary's face, and not allowing that flank to really affect DPS Def, who was able to get those picks and stabilize here. 30% remaining for West Branch to fully complete this map. They have this high noon to zone things out, but Windber will be entering with this rally.
Yeah, as they're going to use that rally, like you said early on, as a swap from Andas over to the Zarya here into the fight. The self-destruct coming through. They've already found 2. They are going to get supercharged up, though, thanks to it. Now Andas can do a boatload of damage. Well, but maybe when the rest of their team is gone, they can't really do much, as that's a very one-sided round of Li Zhang.
A boatload of damage, but they sank fast because at the end of it, well, they were all by their self. And that, I talked about using the high noon to zone. I didn't realize what they were really going to do, and what they did do was they pulled the high noon and bombed out at the same time, forcing extremely awkward positions to be taken by Windber to try and survive it, and then of course they had to deal with the actual neutral follow-up of the team from those ultimates. Extremely good rotation there from the ultimates of West Branch as we head to this narrow control center map, and Windber changing up again. Got this Zenyatta now. This is a very low amount of healing for this kind of brawl composition that they have, so I imagine they're going to play this a little slower here and play more for the poke and put that Discord orb on Baldef and just tear that mech down entirely.
Yeah, they that's the key to success for Windber. They've got to be able to take that out of mech, well, or just kill the rest of the team, because that's just what Mr. Gary's just good at. As they come in, they've already taken down 3. Can they find a 4th here in DPS diff? No, they're going to be able to get away, but Baldef is trapped out on point, and that is going to be a late stagger.
You know what? Initially, I was thinking, okay, pocketing a Hanzo, I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I'll see how it works. Well, it works. If Gary's going to be getting this amount of output, then if sticking a damage beam onto them just means that even those body shots become lethal. I almost get taken out there. The skill orb! No
the skill
way.
Orb, no way. The skill orb takes Mr. Gary out. The res is going to be there, though, but it's not there for any more of this fight, as they've made the swap over to the Zarya as well, Gio. Not something we typically see, but hey, might work out for them. The damage is going to be done. The skill orb coming through yet again after the game slays got Mr. Gary super low, as it looks like a good, clean re-engage for West Branch.
Yeah, playing them at their own game, bringing the Zarya out, and is going to get that cleanup 50% there when Burgot, so they're not in any big rush Gary, though, got this dragon, and we've seen it do very well on big open maps. Now we're talking about a very narrow map with lots of small lanes of rotation. So Gary's going to very much look to zone those lanes out and create an entryway for their team to just run in here.
They're going to use the Dragon Strike early on in this, though. They are going to find Breadcat yet again. That is so huge. That Coalescence could have been massive coming in. But Mr. Gary, again, says no to West Branch, forcing them back.
Yeah, Firelord couldn't even keep that one up there. He procced the Valkyrie, but ultimately wasn't enough in the end to sustain because Game Slays and Breadcat were completely split off from the rest of the team. Now, walking in here, 30% left for Windber to control. That Zarya ult is ready for them. They've got that Graviton Surge where Baldiff doesn't quite yet, is very close to it. So these Graviton Surges are going to be the main win conditions.
Yeah, they are, and they are going to use the Dragon Blade first on in this fight. They do lose two thanks to the Riptire of I Hate Orisa in the meantime, so they don't even get an opportunity to use that Graviton Surge, and they might not even have an opportunity to do so in the map.
When I woke up today, I truly did not think I'd see a Grav Tire combo, but I guess when we bring it out, and yeah, why not, Gary? Get another one at the end. Pad the stats low. Incredible stuff from both teams. This was not a one-sided affair. Li Jiang did bounce back and forth there. We saw lots of small adaptations and some overall compositional switch-ups, but ultimately the story here is how much the side of Windber is really playing into how good Hanzo is right now and how good Gary is at said Hanzo. So I think the main thing to do here when you're West Branch now, you're thinking about the maps that are coming up, you really want to try and contest Gary as much as possible, make that confidence that we've seen from them a disadvantage for their opponents, and kind of flip it on its head a little bit.
Well, I mean, it is going to kind of be hard because we've got another very good Sightlines map coming in for you at Route 66. Again, when we were just making this map pool, I just didn't think about Hanzo being so good as it was at the moment. So, I mean, this has set Mr. Gary up to for a perfect maybe a perfect semifinals.
Yeah, sometimes the stars align, and right now it certainly looks like that could be what's happening. I mean, yes, Gary is like in the kill feed, getting loads done, but that's not to nullify what the rest of the team is doing, and that is really creating the space for Gary to be able to do that. And pocketing them as well, even on the Mercy, but also with the Zen, giving them the Orb, and that Discord Orb, of course, on Control Center was very lethal and burned them down heavily here. And West Branch gonna meet them with a pocketed Ashe here. DPS Diff did have moments there. We mostly saw them on the Symmetra, but now we get to see them flourish here on more of a sniper character. With that pocket, does have a large amount of output of damage, but obviously the Hanzo just has that natural one-shot capability. So that's why you have the Sigma to aid DPS Diff, give DPS Diff a shield, and then they can poke a little harder, get a little bit more output, and try and take that duel with Gary. Now, Windber, as they're coming out of the gates, they're on Reinhardt here with a Brig Mercy. They play very low healing comps here and basically just trust that Anjaz can keep themselves alive for as much as possible.
Wow. Just wow. I've said so much about Mr. Gary's Hanzo play. I just can't say more than just wow whenever I see him do things like this. As there it goes again. They've taken the game slays out. Okay, they're going to take Breadcat. They're going to just keep going. I think about, oh my goodness, that's going to be 5 picks total in that fight for Mr. Gary, thanks to the res that Firelord provided.
Who went into the zoo and let the lion out? This is incredible. Gary is dominating the field right now, and like I wish I could. Like I'm a color caster, I like to pick on like different things for fights. Gary's not giving me that chance.
Okay, so there's an opening coming in now for West Branch. Maybe that'll allow them to come through. And Mr. Gary is going to be fired up, but, well, they're still alive. Getting the pocket coming through and keeping them up in this fight. They might not even have a contest as Game Slays goes down as well. There was only less than a meter remaining, and, well, they had to get away from the point and the swinging hammer of Andas to stay alive.
Yeah, there was a massive opening, like you said. I hit Arissa, overstepped there on the Bastion. What is this? You're facing down 3 of them. No way you get away with this.
Oh my god.
Joker, who is this?
I believe he is a senior, so any collegiate program, you need to be taking a look at this guy, because I mean, he's doing wonders right now.
Yeah, this entire VOD's going to turn out to be a clip show for Gary, but I think some people got to watch their positioning a little. Baldiff has went on to the Junker Queen and going to be able to hit those Gracies, hit those axe hits to try and keep themselves alive. There is a little bit more healing, but Gary again going to town.
You just can't win fights when you're attacking these at a 1 or 4v5 every single fight, and then, well, they just turn into 3v5s, 2v5s. It's just because Mr. Gary's alive. There's another pick coming in for them. That's 3 picks. Andas coming in, taking away the ace possibility yet again for Gary. But I mean, and they're gonna try to take down Firelord as well. They're just going into the almost their spawn, and they get the pick. This is just disrespectful at the moment.
This is Dead by Daylight at this point, and they're being hunted by Gary, and it's incredible. I mean, we did see some good stuff there from DPS. If that ball positioning was good enough to actually take Anjas out, but again, the rest of the team had gone at that point because Gary had just taken them out. They have 4 ultimates ready to push through this final moment here, only with a Coalescence to sustain West Branch through this upcoming heavy ult engage here by Windber.
And the other thing is, with just Gary being able to win fights off their back without using any ultimates, they're able to save up these ultimates for these last couple of fights coming in, and they're going to use this Dragon Strike, they're going to use the Earth Shatter as well, and really just win this fight off the back of the ultimates that they had accrued from winning fights without needing them.
Yeah, and now look at this hold, and just at the gates of hell right now. There's really no touch here. Baldiff might be able to get their rampage off. Can there be follow-up?
There is. There's a huge follow-up coming in from the rampage from Baldiff, and that should be enough. DPS Diff and Baldiff finally coming alive, putting a stop to the lightning-fast pace of Windber.
Yep, West Branch getting their first fight win there at the end is a perfect time to do it, and all down to that great rampage there from Baldiff. It hit pretty much everyone there, and DPS getting the follow-up. Still has the tire also, and you see them trying to decide where to set up here for it, and if they can get a good flank tire, they can take someone out here, drain more time. Oh hey, Game Slays actually getting the better of Gary.
Yeah, Gary is going to go down. The res obviously going to be used on Mr. Gary and try to change this fight back into their favor, but a nice play coming in with the follow-up. DPS Diff with a concussion mine. Now the Riptire coming in around the back. They find the supports and hold on yet again.
Yeah, exactly the type of eliminations you want to be getting there. Nice and swift, and it's all about draining the time bank right now and just rotating your ultimates perfectly, and West Branch are doing that pretty nicely here. They are going to have this high noon to zone out. Of course, Gameslays does have to be careful that their head, that their little noggin there, as we call it over here, isn't going to hit by an arrow when they're doing so will probably require a pocket from Firelord.
Okay, I was just also told that Mr. Gary might not even be a senior yet, so they've got another year of dominating the TEC as they're going to come in here already, finding the game slays, and they do find one before that, so it's still all looking good currently for West Branch to buy them more time here on the fight. The skill orb getting the best of Mr. Gary yet again. The coalescence comes through, trying to stave off the aggression. It seems to be working out well.
Yeah, this Junker Queen composition started to really feel the vibe of West Branch. They're getting a good pace of play with it and getting these follow-up picks. We're now at 90 seconds, Joker, and it's starting to look good for West Branch. Again, they've been rotating these ultimates as perfectly as they can and really just nullifying any of these pushes as Anjaz has been forced onto the Orisa. It's worth to note that this soldier pick, it's a lot of poke, but not too much lethality with the soldier unless you're landing those Helix rockets. So the lethality is very much on Mr. Gary right now to get the follow-up as they'll be going into yet another rampage.
Yeah, they are, but they've already lost I Hate Orisa and Ethereal as well. As the game slays coming in, that rampage was used and the follow-up was there from the game slays coming through. West Branch have brought this time bank down all the way.
Yeah. And I think I'm starting to understand why Windber are now having issue. It's because the way Mr. Gary plays is going for flanks. And this is a very narrow area. Very few flank lines in this point of Route 66. So Mr. Gary just doesn't have those opportunities. Res is going to have to be forced out here from the side of Windber before what is going to be the final fight. 20 seconds on the board. Can Windber reclaim their pride?
Yeah, as they now come into this, they've got the opportunities for the hold. The Deadeye gonna come through, not gonna find the damage that they were hoping for, but Ethereal out of this fight. That res no longer available. The rally also having to be used, but they can't touch in the end. West Branch is able to hold on.
Yeah. I mean, call it third point, call it Helm's Deep, whatever you call it, West Branch took it in stride that they were literally up against the wall of things. They were so close to having a staggering amount of time, Windber were, with, I think they had 3 minutes at that point, 3 minutes 30 around about. They would have completed it if it wasn't for Baldev getting that amazing rampage. And from that tipping point, the momentum was just in the side of West Branch. And now the opportunity has arisen. You don't need to complete this map with extra time. So that can, in moments, give you some patience. But what I really want to see here is West Branch not letting Gary set up or go for flanks unchecked, and it's going to be difficult with the Junker Queen, despite the fact that we've seen them do well with the Junker Queen. With the Zen as well and Windber, like, Junker Queen's just going to get deleted. I think you could bring out the Diva or the Winston. Winston's riskier. It's more of a trade hero. You want to play faster if you have the Winston. But I think the Diva would be a better pick here. I think Baldev will feel the burn against the Zenyatta. And of course, that's just going to amplify the soldier output as well and just kind of force them into awkward positions.
It really is, but Mr. Gary's already forcing down Baldev at the moment. They are gonna find the game slays out with the javelin throw of Andas, and still gonna be forcing back Windber though. That's the huge thing, buying them the space to get into positioning to deal with the rest of Windber is the main thing that they're looking to do here. But with these just clutch javelin throws, they aren't really able to get into the into a situation where they can be able to take advantage of this, as the game slays has already gone out yet again. DPS Diff does find a shot onto him, and they are gonna try to get into him in the face. They do take him out. Now there's no res to bring back Mr. Gary. This should be the opening that West Branch was looking for, as DPS Diff Diff finally unlocking on the Hanzo and going crazy.
Yeah, jealousy burns deep, and DPS Diff was getting sick of hearing all about this Gary bloke and has stepped up on the Hanzo to control that fight as well. It's all down to these Hanzos on the flank line. You really cannot let them be uncontested, but what Windber did there was they really played into the strength of West Branch, which was just having a sustained brawl fight on point. That's why Baldiff was getting so much done there against Anjaz. Does have the Rampage ready. We've seen it control fights before. Can it secure them the first point?
That is the question, and oh no, GG man is so separated from everyone. The Rampage coming out onto just Anjus, but well, that's a key pick. They need to take out the Orisa, and they're able to go in and get the first point because of it.
Yeah, key pick is definitely so true, because Orisa could have still sustained their with Fire Lord, with Ethereal having that Valkyrie. They could have kept them alive, but it was the Rampage that took them out. Can they get these follow-up picks? It's a kind of Pokemon between these Mercies.
I don't think so. Yeah, Mr. Gary with the sustain of the Mercy is going to be able to hold out, and they almost lose ball depth. They're going to use this Dragon Strike. They've lost game slays. They do find one in return, but they've already lost so many. I don't think that was a wise investment from DPS Death.
And well, the fight's still ongoing, and yeah, it continues to be West Branch's losing members, and this is going to crucially allow Windber to set up. They've got 5 ultimates, Joker. This is a heavy arsenal that West Branch are going to be pushing into, and with only the high noon right now, you have the time to take these ultimates away from Windber. Just go in nice and deep, nice and hard, and try and get as many ultimates as you can out of them per fight to nullify their win conditions. I mean, even getting a one-shot onto the likes of GG Man would be perfect as well. Get that Transcendence out of play.
Yeah, they are going to use the Transcendence early from GG Man, and well, deservingly so. They keep everyone up and healthy from Windber, as Mr. Gary's main nemesis throughout this entire series has been the skill orbs of Breadcat, and now they are going to be able to maybe open things up a little bit more, especially with the Rampage coming in clutch, finding a lot of damage down onto the rest of Windber. It's just I Hate Orisa and Ethereal left on this point, and the respawn's coming back. It looks like Windber have to give up space.
Yeah, and now you're seeing exactly why this team was top of the standings, because they took a fight where 4 ults were used by Windber, and they continued to fight and take it and put it into their advantage as it stands.
Yeah, this team, when they're on their game, are unbeatable, as they are coming through to this. They've got I Hate Orisa super low, but they still can't seem to confirm the kill yet. The Dragon Strike coming out from DPS Diff. They found GG Man. Mr. Gary very low as well. The res no longer available if they fall. They've been at 1 Okay, finally gonna get the healing from Ethereal there in the end. I would have just thrown up if that was a headshot from Mr. Gary right there, Gio. That was almost so nutty.
Yeah, my ears would just start to bleed, like the reality would start to just come undone. I mean, ultimately, that last fight, there was just punch for punch, blow for blow type action, and it really went in the way of the defense there. 1 minute 20 remaining as they open up with the Dragon. Doesn't find anything as of yet.
Yeah, nothing as of yet, and they do have ultimates on the board for West Branch, as the Terra Surge coming out from Anjus. Not gonna find the damage that you were hoping for, as the Rampage is gonna come out now, find out Anjus and GG Man. They do, however, lose 2 in response, and they aren't able to capitalize on the damage that came out from Baldeath.
Yeah, point 2 is being a jungle gym of pain for West Branch, as Gary and I Hate Orisa just constantly flanking around, finding avenues of spam and damage and pressure. Pressure being the main thing, and West Branch are kind of crumbling under it. They will have this high noon to create some space for themselves, but crucially this coalescence will allow a nice push if they even need it.
Yeah, they find out I hate Orisa now, forcing back Windber, forcing their hand to try to double down on this defense. Try to hold out, 10 seconds to go, and they've used the Valkyrie already to try to stabilize through some healing, extra damage coming out as well. They need a pick from Mr. Gary, and well, just like and there it is. They find the two. Then the two most crucial ones, both the damage dealers are gone. The Coalescence has to do everything that they need to have even a chance at completing second point. But, well, they're losing one by one. The Dragon Strike comes through. Mr. Gary takes down Baldiff. The overtime bar ticks away. Windber takes the map.
Yes, and it was very, like I said, blow for blow. Those fights were going long, and they're kind of chaotic, but really Windber were able to find order in said chaos, and a lot of it was down to the backline upkeeping them. And yeah, Mr. Gary's nuts. Yes, this play was insane, but the support line of Windber really helped them there in that second point defense and allowed them to really sustain themselves there. But yeah, Windber now, they're at 2-0. It is match point already, Joe.
Yeah, but we are going to head to a, 2-minute break before that. Don't go anywhere. Map 3 right after this. All right, everyone, we are back, and, well, the stage has been set. West Branch kind of need a miracle right now here, Gio. We're headed in to New Queen Street. Can West Branch do anything to claw back into this?
Yeah, we're now talking about a reverse sweep is what they need to do if they want to win it. They are being taken to task by someone who is 4th seed in the regular standings compared to them, who they were the number 1 seed going into this. But it just goes to show you, when it gets to playoffs, when it gets to these matches where each individual match is high stakes, teams can come up big, players can have pop-off moments, and the superstar of tonight is Gary, who has been dominating in a lot of these instances. You know, but it is worth noting, DPS Def came out in Hanzo and did some magic of their own, so maybe that magic's building up now for the side of West Branch.
So, I say, if you say 4th seed, take it with a little bit of grain of salt. I believe they were also undefeated, just the way things went.
Okay.
They happened to be the 4th seed. And also, they did come in second the previous TEC iteration from last semester.
Well, now they're looking to come in first. They're coming out with Ramatra, and Mr. Gary is actually changing things up. Going on the Torbjorn here, showing that they can play other heroes other than Hanzo, and Torb is very good at controlling flanks, but West Branch, they aren't really going for a flanky comp. They're going for yet another Zarya Brawl composition here, keeping DPS Def playing that Junkrat. A lot of burst damage, but if Ramatra can get in the face of the team, then it can get its value.
Well, they are going to find Ethereal out already, so that is the opening that you were probably hoping for. Maybe was looking for someone like GG Man or Mr. Gary, who is still not on the Hanzo, still finding headshots on to the opposition as Windber start things off.
Yeah, and Orisa, well, I hate Orisa getting a few of those last-minute picks there. The Soldier has been a kind of consistent pick for I hate Orisa. It has actually found value, definitely, of course. Going for flanks, getting that pocket from Ethereal is helping them out. Baldiff immediately swapping to the Junker Queen. We've seen them be able to really turn big fights here, and they do need to win this one out. They can't let Windber get this forward spawn checkpoint unlocked.
Wow. There it is yet again, Mr. Gary finding the opening pick. The res is going to be burned, but are they going to get the touch before they do? They get there in the end, but the Molten Core coming online just going to make it impossible to come to the aid of Baldiff as Mr. Gary finds 4 on the Torbjorn.
Another 4K, and this time on Torbjorn. You know, is it an arrow? Is it a molten bolt? It doesn't matter, because if it's hitting your head and it's shot from Mr. Gary, you are out of it. And now Windber, they're in a very solid position. 8 minutes remaining, and they already have their checkpoint unlocked. This is starting to be a snowball that will be very difficult for West Branch to stop the momentum of.
Yeah, this is getting into the part of push where it's almost impossible to come back into things, as they are going to come back, though. They've got DPS diff out, and they're going to look for more as they do find out the picks that were necessary to get the bot back into their favor.
Yep, the use of the tire there got it in their control. Now they can swing it past the central area, and Anjaz is not going to get the forward spawn, so they will have to wait for their tank here. Windber won't be able to feel too many of the positive effects of that forward spawn as of yet. But West Branch holding on to this rampage is a very, very important thing, because this is a win condition for them. Multiple times we've seen Baldiff really win fights with it.
Yeah, as they're going to come in, there's the Rampage out already, and the follow-up there from the diff duo of DPS. But hey, they're going to try to turn this already back into the favors. I hate Orisa. You know, maybe Mr. Gary's having a little off round on the Torbjorn, but I hate Orisa is going to come out on top, finding 3 there.
Yeah, and showing that it's not just that Windber have 1 good DPS. They do have 4. 2 good DPS. It's just Gary is being a superstar right now.
Let's see if they get the 5th now. Well, they have to finally go away. The ace almost coming through.
They do have 4 ultimates coming up here, Joker. Especially this Valkyrie can sustain them forward. They could use the tire early, but of course they'll be still into the barrel of an annihilation. So once they need to start pushing that point and contesting, Anjaz will get a good use of it.
They're gonna come in here. It looks like we need a pause in this as something's going. Oh, never mind.
Yes. Yeah, once I saw the Mercy kind of standing still there, I was like, I feel like there's a pause coming through, but surprisingly took them a while to realize that their Mercy standing in the middle, looking out into the distance with, I guess, a Vietnam flashback face was an issue. But a bit of an awkward pause, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, we're during a fight, so I don't really know how much it's going to impact it, though, because of the strong ultimate advantage the side of Westbrook had, as we're going to be heading right back into it already. And yeah, as you can see, Iris is already down on the side of Windber.
Yeah, so they've already lost 1, and they're going to take down Mr. Gary, who did find out the game slays, but again, they are going to still win that out. Thankfully, the pause didn't have a drastic impact on the way the fight was going.
Yes, but no, there's a very important moment here for West Branch. They can unlock this forward spawn. Windber, they don't want to let them do it, because this is going to really equalize the playing field and nullify their snowball potential.
Yeah, and they're already finding I Hate Orisa out. Mr. Gary does find Breadcat, though. They do, unfortunately, give up the forward spawns here for West Branch, and now with the res being available and the Riptire coming in onto Mr. Gary, this could be the opening that West Branch needed. They have almost overtaken them down to under 10 meters, and the Rampage doing wondrous things yet again. There's no follow-up to be had, but they're just buying more space, and they're going to be able to overtake Windber.
Yeah, the Rampage allowed them to take control. As you said, no follow-up, though. This is going to be an immediate recontest of a fight here. They probably don't want to proc this annihilation yet.
They've already lost DPS diff, but that's just a little too late of a fight win. They needed to win before they lost that the upper hand in this series, and now they have to come back investing ultimates to get the bot back into their favor. They do so, but they had to use 3 ultimates.
Yeah, and now you get into that classic situation in Push where you've had to overinvest to win one fight, but you need to be winning multiple fights in a row, so now you're at a disadvantage. Redcat can open up with a nice amplification matrix here, sit game slays behind it, sit DPS behind it, and just get an output of damage that will dismantle Windber.
What Windber needs right now is a classic Mr. Gary play coming in and killing 2 now because they've lost I Hate Arissa. And that just doesn't seem to be the case because, well, DPS diff had their attention all on them, and the concussion mine takes them out as West Branch are going to be able to continue their push of the bot.
Yeah, nice use of amplification matrix. Just tip that into the controller of West Branch. Windber, they are coming up to that dragon. They might want to utilize it early if they want to touch here. I don't think they have an opportunity though, as they have still lost some members who aren't yet back. They've switched on to the Zenyatta now. That Discord orb can be put onto Baldiff and really just nullify how they can play and how aggressive they can go.
Yeah, they're going to use that Dragon Strike to try to get back into favor, and well, they do find the the bane of their problem currently. DPS diff on this Junkrat doing so much damage, forcing them back, forcing them out, but they have a Rampage already built up, and it's going to find 2, and they're going to just continue this hold of the bot.
Yeah, West Branch are here to fight. Whatever they said to themselves during the break is working wonders, as they are storming forward here on New Queen Street with a whole new look and feel, as Baldiff is dismantling them in the front line here. And I hear Arissa's jogging for their life and is making it out briefly, but you have to watch for the upper visor.
Yeah, then they've already lost Mr. Gary and GG, man. They're going to make a swap over to the Tracer to try to get a fast touch here. But they've already lost I Hate Arissa. The annihilation there is going to be huge unless... maybe not. They only find 1. Mr. Gary does find DPS diff here, though. So this should be a case of Windber coming back and when they needed the fight win.
Yeah, and nice, not panic switches, but last minute switches there. You have Gary on the Tracer, allowing yourself to get some more flanks, and West Branch, you can have Game Slays check on those flanks, but against the Tracer, unless you're going to get the pocket, of course, the Tracer's going to have more output. Already has the Pulse Bomb. We'll be looking for that nice and early. If you can destabilize Windber, you can get your forward spawn, and it's not unlikely that you can equalize this push map with 1 minute to go.
As the Pulse Bomb comes out, misses its mark, but is still forcing back West Branch. But another Rampage already built up. What is this madness coming in from Baldiff? Just diffing that side of Windber on Junker Queen.
Yeah, Baldiff on this Junker Queen just looks so comfortable, so ready and able to turn around fights when needed. We're at 30 seconds, Joker. An incredible lead right now for West Branch. Windber are struggling to win these multiple fights in a row that they need to be. And, well, they will be coming up to Coalescence. They do have the visor to try and win this fight, but they have a long journey ahead of themselves if they want to try and win this map.
Yeah, they really do. But they're going to start things off here already, finding I Hate Arissa. The res is going to be burned, but Mr. Gary is harassing them in the back line here. The Coalescence from GG, man. The Pulse Bomb already built up yet again. The TAC visor coming out, but there's just no picks to be had currently as DPS diff takes down I Hate Arissa in the back line. The Junkrat Riptire available to hopefully end things off. They do lose DPS diff in the meanwhile and find out Firelord, who was attempting attempting to get the res, but Baldiff is still on the point and is already built up to another rampage here as the overtime bar ticking away. This might be 34th Street because a miracle's starting to happen for West Branch.
Absolutely. I mean, Baldiff is looking so strong on this Junker Queen, really being the point of the spear for West Branch in what is now the first step in their journey to potentially reverse sweeping in this semis.
Yeah, and I mean, still some incredible plays from Mr. Gary, but that is the nature of push. When it almost got to that point for Windber there, that they could have just locked everything down. But when they win that fight before it gets to that corner, I mean, now they're able to win the next fight on top of it, did West Branch, which is the bane of most people's existence on push, not winning that second fight. And like you said, you mentioned it, not getting that forward spawn from Andas is the turning point of that entire map.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a small thing to point out, right? But you're so right. It's such a compounding issue that it just meant that they didn't get the advantage that they had fought for, and it kind of just destabilized them. They were kind of off kilter from that point, and that's what really West Branch were able to take advantage of. And you know, I think West Branch did definitely have found something that's working. You know, DPS Def also on this Junkrat is getting a lot done, even in the bare neutral, getting those combos with the primary fire and the concussion, and just eliminating targets left, right, and center, but also with those tires, finding, you know, one or two. You know, it's not about getting massive tires, it's about getting massive game from and an opening for your team. On City Centre, West Branch, they might struggle a little bit. They will be putting, I imagine, Gameslays onto that high ground. That's the best opportunity there. Pocketed Soldier can really rain down a lot of pressure, but of course, you really want Gameslays to deal with. There's no Pharah. Never mind. I was about to pivot to the Pharah. There's no Pharah. It's now I hate Orisa against Gameslays in this kind of pocketed soldier sort of tee-off, where, of course, Gary is going to have a lot of sightlines here as Hanzo. So maybe this is Gary's time to shine yet again in the limelight, as they'll have plenty of flank options here on the Shimada.
Yeah, as they are going to be just conflicting styles with this Junker Queen coming in from Baldiff yet again. It's been working wonders so far. Can it continue to work its magic here as they got to start off strong? GG Man's out of this fight, and Baldiff is going to get the one-up on the Andas as they're going to have to reset. DPS Def finds 2 with the concussion mind.
You can certainly feel it, right? There's a level of energy coming from West Branch now, which we weren't feeling in those initial maps. Something has really, you know, slapped some sense into them in terms of playing quickly, and that's really playing into their composition. Andras is struggling. Andras is struggling to find a tank that works against Baldiff on this Junker Queen, and even on the Reinhardt, who can output more damage than the Junker Queen, don't have the support line behind you to sustain it.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that sustains the real question here, and they're continuing to run this Brigida Mercy composition, and it's not enough fueling for the rest of your squad as they're gonna come in. There's the big grip tire coming in from DPS Def, finding the ace for West Branch.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, DPS Def has shown us a lot of different characters that they're very strong at, but right now, the Junker, the Junker himself, the big Junk, is really working wonders, and those tires are finding great avenues. Dragon is going to come out very shortly, though, to try and split them off, but West Branch were just too quick with it and completely denied it.
Well, they are going to find Breadcat out, though, so that's a lot of healing now gone. And speaking of healing, GG Man has swapped over to the Brigido, but, well, there's no healing to be found now because of that massive rampage coming in from Baldiff, the Diff duo coming alive here in the later half of the series.
Oh my lord, a 5-man rampage.
Is that another 5-piece?
Yeah, that was huge. Well, I think Ball got one of those eliminations, and it was a 4K from DPS Def, but yeah, no touches here from Windber. Windber are now struggling because West Branch are playing so tight together. They are coming in here like a furious fist, and it's very difficult for the likes of Gary, who is very good at finding pickoffs. Someone a little bit by themselves, they can go on a flank, take them out. But West Branch are not doing that. They're not giving any more massive opportunities to Mr. Gary. And as we head to University, Joker, this plays much more in the favor of West Branch's composition because of those tight corridors. You're able to get much more cleave damage with the axe, which of course reduces cooldown. You get to use it more, and of course those shotgun blasts and Junkrat grenades are going to be getting a lot more value. Also, Mr. Gary going to struggle to find those flanks that he likes so much. I think West Branch can really take it here if they continue with this fury. They just have to watch out that they don't disrespect the Bastion, who's already used the turret farm.
Yeah, as Mr. Gary does find the pick that they needed, taking DPS Diff out. The res is going to be there, but while they are going to find picks, they do lose a couple. The res not being used just quite yet. Okay, there we go. There's Mr. Gary coming alive. They might have gotten a little bit angry here, Gio, after dropping that last map and then that previous round.
Yeah, that's definitely something. There was some fury behind those attacks, and now they have the control of the point. They can set up nicely here with this Sigma and Bastion. It's a lot of output damage, and Baldiff, they just purely can't play as confidently as we've seen them do so, because that turret mode will just burst them down.
Oh, that's going to be a nice entry pick for West Branch, as they are going to find Ethereal, who is also trying to bring Mr. Gary back into the thick of it. But that's going to be denied, and now West Branch have the opportunity to come back, get the point into their favor before it gets too out of hand.
Yep, a nice swift takeover there. They utilised the fact that Anjaz was maybe overstepping a little bit there in their game of footsie, and Baldiff took control, but Mr. Gary opening up strong.
Yeah, opening up strong with the Dragon Strike coming in. They still have to deal with Baldiff, though, as the Gravitic Flux going to come through, and no real support ultimates to stay off that aggression, as the Coalescence has just been built up, and they're not going to use it, though, as Windber get it back.
Yes, this is looking much more back and forth here on University. I mean, it's fitting. These players, they'll be fighting for places on college teams, so University is definitely where these teams are going to be fighting hardest for. Breadcat got this Coalescence, big steady push going to be coming from it, unless Breadcat goes down on 1 HP already. Still going to watch out for those Gary arrows.
Yeah, the Coalescence is going to be invested early on. Another huge rampage coming through. And GG Man can't land enough of the Suzu to keep people alive. As that is a huge adaptation, though, that Windber has made. GG Man on the Kiriko, they need to be able to land those Suzus, though.
Yep. Well, aside from the Suzus, you also have that Kitsune Rush, which in itself can just be a fight-winning ultimate, and you do have that nice and ready. But if the team groups together too much for it, there's a tire that'll destroy them.
Yeah, as the Dragon Strike's going to come through, Mr. Gary finds 2 here. The res is in a response, and they still have not used this Kitsune Rush, as they've lost out Mr. Gary because they were attempting to res GG Man into the back of this fight. They still can't really invest anything into this fight because they keep dropping players.
Yes, and You know, these reses have been such a consistent factor in these fights, whether they work or not, and DPS diff getting back into this fight because of Fire Lord meant that there was just so much more pressure again in those fights. 80% here, 85%, 15, it's panic mode for Windber. They do have a flux, they have avenues to win it out, but if DPS diff gets a cheeky tire at the start and eliminates someone with an ultimate, it could be West Branch to take it here.
Yeah, as the Grid Flux is going to be used here early on. The Valkyrie's going to come through, though, to try to keel through it. But, well, that's just not going to be the case. But DPS Diff finds 2 with the Rift Tire and finds another one. They are going to lose it out in the end as the Dragon Strike comes through onto Firelord as well. This is shaping up to be a very big last fight.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit too long holding onto the tire there for DPS diff. I mean, yes, in the end they were able to get the upper tire and won, but if you use it a little early, it could be better. Last fight territory here. Bredka, if they can build this coalescence, that will allow West Branch to really sustain this push.
Yeah, so they're going to open things up, and they have the advantage as well. Just not even just the kills. They've got the advantage in the ults that are coming online as the Rampage comes through, wraps things up. Geo, we're tied up, and we're headed to a map number 5.
Oh my lord, they are well on their journey towards the reverse sweep in these semis. But that final fight, Joker, I want to really go break down what happened there, because the Sigma of Windber went into the middle pit. They were that's the equivalent of eliminating a character quickly, and they couldn't just do anything. Then the Mercy went down with them, and after that it was just all that she had written, and we have what we have now. It's 2-2. It's match point both ways, but the momentum is with the team getting their current revenge. West Branch finding the 2, Windber with 2. They only need to get 3. Either of these teams are on the precipice of going forward in the bracket.
So the only thing is here, with it going to Havana, that really opens up for Mr. Gary to have the sightlines available on Hanzo. And, I mean, obviously we've seen DPS Diff able to do, somewhat replicate the success that we saw Mr. Gary on the Hanzo, so this could be a epic showdown.
Oh, for sure. Yes, and you also talk about what's been working for West Branch. It's Junker Queen and it's Junkrat. Both characters definitely struggle on these long sightline maps where it's all about spam characters, all about sniper characters, particularly Junkrat, unless you're going to close hold, which might be what West Branch attempts to do first. Then those characters, they're not going to find the value. You probably will still see the Soldier come out from Game Slays. It's been a kind of consistent pick for both sides, actually, to have a pocketed a Soldier. But when you look at these compositions, right, Windber just have the advantage. They have that long range. They have the ability for Anjaz to put down a shield and give Mr. Gary an even more aggressive avenue of play. Whereas West Branch, they don't have that long range. They have Soldier, they have Junkrat for the short range, but ultimately, Mr. Gary is going to be completely uncontested here.
Yeah, this is going to be really rough. I'm expecting an adaptation to this, the composition that West Branch is running if they lose out on this first phase of Havana. But, I mean, that'll be only time will tell as the Pharah doing the damage coming in. But interestingly enough, everyone on West Branch are the ones still alive and well, as Windber was very low at that time. As they come through, they're still trying to figure something out, but they can't really set up with this far in the sky because I Hate Arrestor just keeps taking so much damage as the pummel's gonna come out. Mr. Gary goes back to spawn. Baldiff on the Ramatra coming alive.
Yeah, I actually think that's important that you point out, because that is the key weakness right now. The Pharah struggling against a pocketed soldier. I mean, Soldier by himself doesn't put enough damage to pressure a Pharah, but put on that damage boost and then you create a massive weakness. Now I hear Rissa going onto the Bastion, and with this Ramatra, going to be able to be a very sustained front line here with the Bastion, doing a lot of damage. I like this much better, and Voldef's got to be careful with their positioning.
Yeah, they really do, as now the Ramatra duel coming out for both of these teams as Mr. Gary looking to line up the shot. The damage coming out, the Ravenous Vortex locking everyone down, but it's going to be DPS Diff the one to go first, as Baldiff is going to have to join them pretty soon, as they were very low in enemy territories, as the Dragon Strike coming in, going to wrap things up.
Yeah, that fight won or died based off of Baldiff got Rampage or not. Annihilation, sorry. Because they were on very low health. They died on 99% of it, and once you use the Rampage you get more armor, of course, and they had the Valkyrie, so that's what they were banking on, but of course when we're able to take them out beforehand.
Mr. Gary and the Game Slays taking this fight. Can they get the touch here? They do, as the Annihilation's going to try to be built up. There it is. The Annihilation's going to come through. The Tactical Visor coming in as well to keep this point going in the favor of the defense, as Andos goes down and didn't invest their own Annihilation, which is huge.
So we talked about why Junkrat's not good on a map like this, but when you have a player who is as good as DPS Diff is at finding advantages in fights, then they can really nullify those negatives. I mean, clearly they're very comfortable on Junkrat. They know this character quite well, so they know how to play them on disadvantageous ground, and they have this tire which could just nullify this. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, they do find the shot onto DPS Diff. The res is going to have to be used, and now the Annihilation comes through. The Coalescence in response, trying to keep everyone up and healthy, and Andos has to just block, and they go down in the end to Breadcat's own Coalescence. They're able to stave off the aggression coming in from Windber and still holding things out.
There is 30 seconds remaining, and we're on the brink of West Branch full holding here. Despite all our attempts at talking about why Windber had the advantage, West Branch are just on that next level, and they still have tire for this final fight. Gary, of course, is going to split things up with their Dragon, but you have to watch for this tire.
Yeah, as they're coming in, Mr. Gary comes in clutch. Taking Firelord out is huge, and that's going to set them up to finally open things up and get the point captured.
I mean, I gotta say, I think DPS Diff holds onto their tire sometimes like they're clutching onto pearls, because, I mean, if you use that early, you could really turn that fight around, but clearly they have a different idea of things. We will be heading to point 2, and this is going to be very into how Mr. Gary likes to play. Those flanky, little cheeky arrows, that's what they found the most value with, and that's what they're going to be playing around these cylinders.
Yeah, as well, now they are coming into the brewery phase, like you said. They are, however, going to be walking into a wealth of ultimates from West Branch, but again, they might not even need them at the moment unless Baldiff goes super low, but that doesn't seem to be the case. They've got everything they need currently to hold on, but well, they are going to use the Annihilation in the end, but it's going to work out. No, maybe not well. They do go down, only finding I Hate Orisa. This isn't what they were looking for when using that Annihilation.
Yeah, sometimes when you get into the flow state of a fight like that, you start to forget that you have opponents that can turn fights like you do right now. 1 minute, 10 remaining in the board. Lots of ultimates still for West Branch, like you've mentioned, but Amjaz with that Annihilation could win that out for their team.
Yeah, they are gonna. Well, no, they aren't gonna use it in the end because, well, they've already lost so many, and that's the huge thing for West Branch. They came into that fight for ultimates, and they didn't use any.
They don't like using ultimates. But yeah, I mean, in this instance, you're absolutely right. That's incredible for them because we're looking very close to this final fight. 40 seconds remaining. They could possibly have 2 attempts here, but given this map will be 1. So you're looking for DPS Diff to hide for a tire, which they are. Look at that. They're in the back.
Yeah, as they come in here, the Riptire starts things off, takes GG Man out, and really just forces them back. They use 2 more ultimates in there, but when you had 4 to begin with, using 3, not so bad, especially with 11 seconds remaining. The Annihilation coming through, you need to be able to heal through this, though, as Anjas goes down before finding any picks. 3 seconds to go, and no one's even in the vicinity of touching. West Branch have set their sights on the reverse sweep.
Yeah, great stuff there, West Branch. They really forced Windber into their style. They forced a very close engage a lot of those times, which really went into the benefit of having a Junkrat, the benefit of playing the Ramatra, and that's why Windber met them with the Ramatra. Tried that Bastion, but continually the Bastion hasn't found the value. And I think West Branch is just because they respect the Bastion, they know they're not going to be going into a third Bastion and winning. So they're being patient and letting I hate Orisa use it a little early and then coming in once it's done. Great stuff there. I mean, they're holding on to ults in a lot of good fights, but they're also holding on to fights in a lot of places where it's actually a disadvantage.
Yeah.
So it's one of those double-edged sword moments where it can either win them or lose them a point, and we saw both there. They lost point 1, I think, because they held on to the tire, but I think they definitely held point 2 because of that fight, like you said, where they held on to all those ultimates. Windber, they're looking to change the game, though. This Zenyatta choice is incredible because not only can the Zenyatta output a lot of damage, but we've talked about having that Discord Orb. Now, Discord Orb plus the damage boost of a Mercy, that is a lot of amplification coming out from the defense.
And they're currently just not letting DPS Diff set up at all to get some shots on to attempt to take off the head with the sniper rifle of Widowmaker. They're just not able to, as they're going to have to swap over to the Junkrat yet again to try to get some consistent damage. But while they do not have that damage, the game Slays finds down Ethereal. And now things are looking even better for them because they found out Andas as well. This is just looking so good for West Branch to really win things out.
Man, yeah, Baldiff is really just finding those advantages against Anjas and pushing past them, eliminating their team, and just outpacing them. And Windber, they're struggling to find what's working. They're still experimenting. And if you have your opponent on the back foot trying to experiment, then you have an advantage. But you still have Mr. Gary.
Yeah, they still have Mr. Gary landing the shots that Windber needed. But there is just so much damage coming on to the rest of Windber that Mr. Gary can't really damage through to keep up with the pace of eliminations that are coming out. But, well, maybe they can now as they find out the remaining couple of players for West Branch.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Mr. Gary definitely stressed in that situation to come up big, but had a chaotic fight to work with. And I think in the chaos of choosing this Reaper, I think it's going to create advantages for Mr. Gary in those fights when they're looking at the Reaper to deal with it so that their tank doesn't go down too quickly, and they'll not be looking at Mr. Gary, who is the true lethal character.
Yeah, as they now have to come in, the Annihilation already being built up from Baldiff, as well as the Tactical Visor, to just put in consistent damage for the Annihilation to find the picks in necessary for West Branch to continue this push. It is just GG men, but they're swiftly dealt with as West Branch complete point number 1.
If you're just joining this broadcast, West Branch were at 0 against Windber, who were at 2. This is a different situation. We are on the last point here of this series, and West Branch have plenty of time and ultimates to secure this reverse sweep in the semifinals and continue their reign in the playoffs.
Yeah, as things are looking on the up and up too. There is 5 ultimates though from Windber to counteract this push, but not finding anything with the Dragon Strike is not what you wanted to see. Now the Coalescence comes through, the Death Blossom coming in as well, and Ult Fiesta on the point coming in, but there's still only been traded 1 for 1, and DPS Diff still has the Reptile, but they don't even need it. They've already found 2. West Branch have set themselves up for victory.
As this payload swings around this corner, we will potentially be in our final fight. DPS Diff has a chance to set up for their tire, but Amjaz does have that annihilation before Baldiff. They could come in nice and quickly here and take this fight with it if they can regroup in time.
Yeah, that it is going to be the necessary use coming in. So they're going to use the Valkyrie early, but they fight Anjos. It's got to be over here. DPS Diff living up to their namesake, the difference maker in the map, as that is it. The script has been written. The reverse sweep for West Branch, and they booked their tickets to the grand finals.
Outstanding. Goddamn standing. West Branch secure that reverse sweep, and yeah, getting that elimination onto their Matra when they had annihilation right here. That's it. That was the end of this fight. That was the only main win condition that Windber had there. But West Branch, what a journey, what determination there to bring themselves from the brink of a loss to the win here, 3-2 against Windber.
Yeah, New Queen Street might have to be just changed to 34th Street, because that's where the miracle started for them. I mean, wow, what an incredible turn of events for West Branch. But with that victory, we do have to say goodbye to Windber here. As, so apparently they aren't losing Mr. Gary, so coming back with such a caliber of player for next semester is just so good for them to still continue to build on the success that they had this season, and hopefully they come in even stronger next semester. But Gio, I think that's about it for us today. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for stepping in when we needed you, Gio, and thank you all for watching. Peace out. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.